are joined by Dilan, a health and fitness lifestyle transformation coach, as well as a stage 4 cancer survivor,
Yeah.
and the famous voice behind the DNA podcast. So tell us a bit more about how you started your career in fitness and DNA. Tell us how it really started. Did the interest grow?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I've always been into fitness for a very, very long time. I've always been going to the gym, trying to look after myself.
Yeah.
It's just something I've enjoyed. I always used to work in an office, so
Yeah.
I had quite a few different jobs. I was working in finance to begin with when I graduated from university. Found that very boring.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I think
Yeah.
I was in finance for less than a year, and I was just like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Then I ended up working in recruitment, which I kind of found a knack for.
Yeah.
And I liked the thrill of it. So I was working in recruitment for a while, and then, like you mentioned, I got sick. So I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma back in 2015, which is a type of blood cancer.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed at stage 4. So I had it for about 2 years without actually being diagnosed.
Okay.
So then I went through all my treatment for it, had my chemotherapy and things like that. And then, so I was off work for almost a year having my treatment.
Yeah.
And then I went back to the office, and I just sat down one day and I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. You know, I don't know, things like that kind of make you realise, like, as cliche as it sounds, life is very short. And
Of course, yeah.
I just thought, I don't want to waste mine doing something I don't enjoy. So I was like, right, I need to actually do something I like doing.
Yeah.
But what do I like? And this is, I feel like this is a problem that a lot of people face at some point in their life, where they're not happy in the job that they're in, but they don't know what else to do. You know? So I kind of just took a step back and thought about it, and I was like, what do I actually enjoy in life? And the only thing I could put my finger on was going to the gym. I just enjoyed being in the gym, just training, being in that environment. So I was like, right, I need to do something in this sort of field.
Yeah.
And when I started looking into it, I'd say the best way to get your foot in the door in that sort of industry is by working in a gym or being a personal trainer or something like that. So I decided I was going to just become a personal trainer. So it was actually while I was on a weekend away. I went to Berlin with one of my best mates, and we used to work together at the time. And I said to him, when we go back, I'm going to hand in my notice and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any of my qualifications done or anything. I was just like, I'm just done with this. So we literally, it was on a bank holiday Monday. We flew back on the Monday. Tuesday morning, I went to work and I just said, I'm leaving. I'm done. That's it. Then, I just got all my qualifications, pursued that, and then that's where it kind of all began.
Yeah. For how long now have you been into this industry? For how many years?
About 5 years now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
So I've been training for years since I was a teenager, but actually in the industry about 5 years now.
Like a full-time job.
Yeah, full-time.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how are you finding it so far? How's it going with you?
It's fun.
Yeah?
It's fun. I enjoy it. If I didn't, I don't think I'd do it. You know, it's good. It's hard. It's not as easy as I didn't think it would be easy, but it's not as straightforward as I thought it might be. But it's good. It's challenging, and I like it. Yeah.
And how did your fitness journey started? I mean, I know that you faced some challenging time in your life when you've been diagnosed with cancer. How did you handle this with your treatment and your condition? How did you handle the entire journey?
I don't know. I do get asked questions like that quite a bit, and I just don't know. I think when you do get an illness like that or something, you just deal with it, don't you? You've got no choice, really. It's like we're programmed fight or flight, right? And faced with something like that, I just decided to fight. It wasn't. It was almost instinct. It wasn't something like I had planned, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The hard part was you can't really do any fitness while you're having treatment. That was probably harder than anything else. Yeah. Mentally, it's because fitness plays a big role, obviously, with mental health. And, but I don't think it's anything you can kind of prepare for. It's just you just have to deal with it when it comes. Yeah.
And is there anything you would change, or anything that you wish you would know before in your fitness journey? Anything that you changed in the past?
No.
Not
I don't
really.
know. I'd say the one thing I'd say is I probably wish I got into it a lot earlier than I did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it took something almost quite life-changing to make me make that move.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I wish I got into it a lot younger.
Of course.
Apart from that, no, I'm happy. I'm one of these people.
Good.
I live my life and I try
That's
not
what
to
really
regret many
matters.
things. Yeah, so I'm just unless just do it a bit earlier.
So, as a professional coach, what are what we would really be interested to hear more about your take on the fitness common misconceptions. For example, you need to sweat to have a good workout. You need to eat more protein shakes. What do you think about that?
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
There's so many misconceptions out there. And it's things I talk about all the time, you know. You always get asked these kinds of questions. So the ones you kind of mentioned, for example, sweating. A lot of people think you need to sweat for it to count as a good workout, which is not always the case. I wouldn't say it's true. Sweating is it's your body's way of managing your temperature. That's the only reason we sweat, is when we get too hot, our body sweats to cool down. You could literally be sitting in a very hot room and be sweating. It does not mean you're having a workout. If that was the case, everyone can just go and sit in like a sauna, and then no one ever has to exercise. You know, we can all be in good shape. Sweat is just your body trying to manage its temperature, right? So I'd say I wouldn't kind of ever tell anyone you need to sweat to have a good workout. I sweat when I work out sometimes, and sometimes I don't. It just depends on the type of training you're doing as well, and there's so many other factors that kind of go into it. And the other thing is, when you sweat, you lose a lot of things like electrolytes and minerals and stuff. So unless you're replenishing those, you might say to yourself, right, for this to be a very good workout, I need to sweat loads. So you go into the gym and you force yourself to do the craziest stuff you can just to make yourself kind of sweat. And then you end up losing all these electrolytes, you lose all these minerals, you don't kind of replenish them, and then you're actually doing more bad than you are doing good, just because your only goal was to sweat. I don't know if you've seen like these sweatsuits and stuff that have been kind of popping up recently.
They're getting trendy now. They're very trendy now.
Yeah, they're popping up everywhere. I mean, I hate them. I absolutely hate. I see that. I had so my brother-in-law, he messaged me one day with a picture of one of these sweatsuits, and he was like, "Dear, what do you think about this?" And I was like, "Don't waste your money on it. You know, it's going to make you sweat, but it's not going to do anything else. You're not going to lose more weight or burn more calories just because you're sweating more." What was the other one? Protein shakes.
Protein shakes, exactly.
As soon as people start training with me, a lot of the time they're like, right, which protein shake do I need? And I'm like, it depends, right? You don't always need a protein shake. I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions, is when I start going to the gym or when I start doing something active, I need to start drinking protein shakes, which is not the case. Protein is just a macronutrient, right? The same as carbohydrates and fats. Now, you wouldn't necessarily have a carbohydrate shake, and it doesn't even sound nice, but have a fat shake, right? So you don't always need a protein shake. The only time I would recommend supplementing protein is if you're not getting enough through your diet. I'm a big believer in getting everything you need from food. You know, food is
nutrition.
Exactly. It's the best medicine, and it's the building blocks of everything, right? So if you're not getting everything from your food, so for example, I have a lot of vegetarian and vegan clients who sometimes struggle to get enough protein in their diet. Then for a client like that, I might advise supplementing protein. But if you're getting enough from your food already, you don't need to have a protein shake. No.
That's cool. That's good. And so we know that you've faced a lot of, really tough times in your life with the COVID as well. Now, currently, we're facing a lot of people are in lockdown. What kind of advices do you give for people to motivate them to get back to the gym and start focusing on the fitness journey?
Yeah, it is tough. It's tough. A lot of people are kind of struggling at the moment, and obviously with COVID going on, it's harder and harder. Gyms are open at the moment in most places. I know they're closed in certain ones, but we don't know what's going to happen with gyms, right? And this is something I have to kind of live with. It's my place of work, so if it shuts down, what am I going to do? On the flip side of that, just people. So it's people working in the industry and also people who just like to keep in shape, right? It's hard. It's hard to stay motivated for a lot of people, and especially with the time of year as well. We're approaching winter now. It's colder in the mornings. It's darker. Your alarm goes off. You just want to stay in bed. You don't want to go to the gym. So it is hard. I think motivation is a difficult one, right? It's something I get asked about a lot. I get asked a lot, how do I motivate myself? How do your clients stay motivated? And I'd say the biggest thing I always say is habits. Habits, because I think motivation's only going to get you so far. You know, when you start something new, you might have just started going to the gym, or when, for example, the first lockdown happened back in March, a lot of people started training at home, and everyone was getting all this home equipment, and it was something new for everyone. And when something's new, it's exciting, it's motivating. As time goes on, that kind of wears off, and you can't just purely rely on motivation. So I say habits, and this is what I try and instill in all of my clients, is building those healthy habits that will keep you going even when you're not motivated to. So I don't wake up every single day and want to go to the gym. As crazy as that sounds, as much as I love it, even for me, a lot of times it is just like, do I have to go today? Yeah, it's hard. Like I'm the same as any other person on this planet. I just want to stay in bed as well sometimes, you know. But it's just those habits that I've built over time that make me go. You know, in my head, I'm just like, I have to just get it done. And I always say, even if I go and it's the worst workout in the world, it's still better than nothing. You know. So in terms of motivation, I'd say it depends on what stage of your training you're at. If your motivation has completely gone, then it's about habits. If it's just one of those where you have those habits but you're still kind of lacking it a bit, a lot of my clients, I tell them, why don't you train in the evenings instead? It's not ideal. I recommend training in the morning for most people. Your body's just a bit more anabolic in the morning, but if it's a real struggle to wake up and go, then just go in the evening when you're already awake, or if you find some time during the day. But that's probably the best bit of advice I can give. I'd say try and build the habits. Yeah,
that's cool. Talking about your patients and the clients. So we've seen a lot of testimonials on your social media, a lot of people that had like previous injuries, physical injuries, and they've been really satisfied with the kind of service that you provided through your transformation, like lifestyle kind of coaching. And what are the main areas that you focus on with your clients? Is it more about the diet plans that you advise, or is it more the fitness plans, or only like the professional knowledge that you provide to them? What is really the key components that you focus on?
So the things that you mentioned, pretty much all of those as well. So my whole thing is lifestyle, right? And there's so many different types of coaches out there that do specialize in different things. For example, you might get one that specializes in just pure aesthetics to get people ready for like a bodybuilding show or something. You get some that specialize purely in fat loss, things like that. My whole thing is lifestyle, and the reason is, for me, it is a lifestyle. You know, I'm not always trying to lose weight. I'm not always trying to gain weight. I always have different goals, but whatever my goal is, this has become a part of my life now, right? And this is what I want to teach people, and this is what I want other people to have as well. So in terms of with my clients, like you mentioned, I do a little bit of injury rehab. I have 3 knees at the moment that I'm trying to fix. Knees are a common injury, so I've got 3 knees that I'm trying to fix at the moment. So that's kind of something I do more in person. Whereas with the lifestyle coaching, I do that in person, but I do it online as well. So I've got an online coaching platform for that. With that, I focus on the exercise itself. So making everyone their plans and actually programming their workouts for them, because your body adapts very quickly to anything, right? We are masters of adaptation.
Of course.
And you do something for a good few weeks or months, and your body kind of figures out what you're doing, and it stops changing. You know, so you need to constantly change everything that goes along with it, including types of exercise that you do. So it's all the programming in terms of their exercise. I like to help people with nutrition, but I don't like meal plans. So I very rarely give meal plans. So what
clients. Exactly do you give them when it comes to nutrition? What kind of advices?
So usually when someone, let's say you started training with me today, this was your first day. For every single client of mine, for the first week at least, I say just eat what you normally eat. Keep track of it. We keep a food diary, so we can see exactly what you're eating, what your macros are. So what percentage of fats, proteins and carbs you're getting in your diet currently. The food diary is there, so I can see what exact foods they're eating, how many calories they're consuming, even little things like the times of day that they're eating, what goes with their life, because everyone's life is so different based on your job, your family life, everything, you know what I mean? So for the first week, I'll say, eat whatever you want. Just keep track of it all and send it to me.
Yeah.
So they show me everything they're eating. This way, I get to learn about their habits. Because everyone has some sort of eating habits already. We all have them, right?
Definitely.
And not everybody needs a meal plan.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just need their habits tweaked a little bit. And it's much easier to tweak a few existing habits than trying to build a whole new set of ones straight away.
Okay.
You got to understand, for a lot of people, if they've never exercised before, imagine you were completely new to it, and I'm like, right, you've got to do all this exercise, you've got to follow this meal plan, you have to do this, this and this. It's a lot to do all at once, right? It has to be a gradual process. So for the first week, I'd say eat what you eat, just let's have a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on how I kind of assess and analyze their habits, then I'll prescribe them something. So I might say, right, your food is actually not that bad. You're just not eating enough, or you're eating too much, or we need to change this percentage here and this ratio here. Maybe eat a bit more of this and a bit less of this, and so forth. And then I also give them like nutrition guides, where it breaks down why they're eating what they're eating, and what they should be eating and what everything means. And I give them options. I'll say, so for you, based on your dietary requirements, here are 5 or 6 options for breakfast. Here are 5 or 6 options for lunch, another few for dinner, a few snacks. Some people don't even have breakfast, lunch or dinner, but it just gives them ideas, And so I'd say it's almost like educating them.
Yeah.
I like to educate people to make wiser decisions with their food and know why they're eating what they're eating. Which
is really good, because sometimes some PTs and some nutritionists, they just give you, just follow this plan without any not a lot of information on why should I follow this, not that. So which is good. So it's more about the communication with the people that you're focusing on. So what really differentiates you from other coaches or different PTs? Is it more the communication? Is it more the motivation that you give to your clients? Or is it more, I'm not really sure.
That's a very good, I've never been asked that. That's a very good question. I don't know. I've never really compared myself to any others, if I'm honest. Everyone kind of, I always say every coach or trainer brings something different to the table, right? What differentiates me, I think, is I do like to focus on the lifestyle aspect on it, and I am very personal with it in the sense of I know all of my clients very well. I'm in constant communication, literally 24/7, to the point sometimes I just have to leave my phone upside down on the table just because I'm getting sent pictures of food all day long and stuff. So I think what differentiates me is I like the education aspect of it. I want to educate clients so they can do this for the rest of their life. It's not just, right, you train with me for 6 months, you get into really good shape, and then that's it, right? I don't think anyone should ever have to rely on a trainer for their whole life. It's like going to school, right? You go to school for X amount of years, your teachers teach you what you need to know, and then you leave school and you live life, but you always take those things away with you, right? I don't think anyone should ever train with me forever. You train with me until you have enough knowledge to be able to do this on your own, and then you can live your healthiest life for as long as possible. So for me, it's all about longevity and just lifestyle and educating people rather than just training them. So
now let's just focus more about DNA. So I know that you speak a lot about DNA on your social media, on your podcast. What was really the relationship between DNA and fitness? What can you tell us about that? But DNA in particular.
It's a very funny story. It's not that funny. It's not that funny. So the name of my brand is DNA Fitness, right? And I get asked this a lot as well. Like, what does DNA actually mean? And it doesn't actually mean anything, if I'm honest. The reason I came up with that name was years ago, back when I was working in recruitment. Me and 2 friends of mine, we started up our own company, which was actually called DNA.
Oh, okay.
Because it was the initials of our names.
Oh.
So I was the D, and I had 2 friends that were N and A.
Cool.
So we had a company that was called DNA, which nothing ever materialized from it, but that was the plan back then, right? And then fast forward a few years, and I kind of wanted to start my own sort of business, and I was like, right, what can I call it? And I just like the name DNA.
Cool.
And then when I looked at it on the other side as well, I love biology.
Yeah.
I've always loved biology. In school, even when you have the 3 sciences, you have physics, biology, chemistry, I always did better at biology. It's just what I find interesting. And I kind of use that in a lot of my training as well. I study the anatomy and physiology quite in depth, and it's something I like to teach my clients and teach people about. So then there's the whole biology aspect of it. So I've got the name, and it kind of relates to biology too, and then also just genetics, right? I'm a big believer in, we all have genes, we're all very different people, and this is why I like to handle each person as an individual. I would never give two people the same sort of plan, the same sort of exercise routine, the same sort of, there'll always be something different for every single person, because we are very different because of our genetics, which is where kind of DNA comes into it. So it's kind of a mixture of all three of those things, but it's completely by accident. It's not something I planned for.
Cool, good to know. So what do you think is, I mean, in regards to nutrition and diet, so for your post-cancer journey, what the nutrition plans that you really relied on after your treatment? I know that it was quite challenging for you to start off a new journey after this condition. Did you change anything when it comes to nutrition, or you just continue them?
Yeah, I think I did make quite a few tweaks. Again, my diet wasn't the worst beforehand, which was why I was quite surprised when I actually got sick in the first place, because you always think, right, I'll look after them. I go to the gym all the time. I eat very healthily. How the hell do you end up getting sick? Do you know what I mean? And it kind of makes you reevaluate stuff. And I think my diet wasn't necessarily the worst, but it wasn't also the best. And what I mean by that is for example, right now I'd say 90% of my diet is organic foods. Whereas before I was still eating fruits and vegetables and things and all the good stuff, but it hardly ever was organic. It was just kind of whatever you grab, right? So I'm a big believer in organic foods, just purely because non-organic is filled with so much rubbish nowadays, right? It's almost empty nutrition is what I call it. You could eat the healthiest foods, but there's no actual nutritional value to them. I can't remember the exact amounts, but I remember reading about bananas, for example. Like, everyone knows bananas are a good source of potassium. And years and years ago, before everything was kind of genetically modified, bananas gave you enough potassium that you needed, right? Whereas now the same one banana has way less potassium in it. So to get the same amount of potassium that you would have got about 20 years ago, you'd have to eat like a bucket full of bananas, right? Which is impossible. So it's almost empty nutrition. You're eating this fruit, but you're not getting what you should from it. So I've kind of zoned in a bit more on that since being sick. So I've kind of started looking more at the organic stuff, and also kind of like, I take a lot of herbal supplements. So I like to treat things more naturally now. It's really weird because I had chemotherapy, which it's poison basically. At the end of the day, it's poison. You're putting poison into your body, right? And it's pure chemicals. They're just being bombarded with these chemicals. Whereas now the biggest change I've made is I just hate having any sort of chemicals in me. I limit that as much as possible. Like, I won't even take a painkiller. I just don't like them. So I try and treat things more naturally now. So for example, if I supplement things like turmeric, which are natural anti-inflammatories. So where I'm training quite a bit and my joints might get sore, it kind of helps with the inflammation, things like that. I take sea moss. I don't know if you've ever heard of or come across sea moss. It's literally just moss that grows in the sea, right? It's a plant. But the human body has 102 minerals, and depending on what kind of sea moss you get, it will have 90 plus of those minerals just in the sea moss alone. So it's really good for things like recovery and just replenishing your body, things like that. So I think I've gone more down the natural route since getting sick, and kind of stepped away from things that are like genetically modified or any sort of chemicals or additives and stuff like that. I think that's probably the biggest change I've made.
Which is the perfect way for nutrition, to be honest. And what would you say is there anything like a key component to diet? What advice would you give to someone who is trying to start a new journey to a better lifestyle? Is it more habits? Is it more organic? What would be the key advice that would you give for people who are willing to start something new?
Well, firstly, it's got to fit in with your lifestyle. All right, because I could say to someone, because I can train people from all across the world, right? And I might say, right, go and get all the organic food only. But where they live, you might not get much organic food. Or might not have a big selection. So it's got to fit into your lifestyle, where you live, what kind of job you have, how much you're eating, how many days you're eating, that sort of thing. then I'd say just keep it simple. I think people overcomplicate nutrition a lot, and it's where a lot of people do get stuck. And I always get asked, "Oh, what should I be eating?" and stuff. And I just say keep it simple.
Yeah.
Eat whole foods, right? And have, depending on your goal, have the right balance of carbs, fats, and proteins first off, and then take a look at your micronutrients like your vitamins, your minerals, and stuff like that, and have balance. I know it's thrown around all the time that a balanced diet is, and everyone always like, what is a balanced diet?
Yeah.
And my idea of a balanced diet is you're eating all the nutrients that you need, so you're not depriving yourself, you're not malnourished, and at the same time you're living and enjoying life. Right? I'd be lying to you if I said that I don't eat ice cream every single day, because I do. Cool. I am an ice cream
Good
fiend.
for you.
Yeah, I eat literally every single day. I'll have a bit of ice cream. I'm not talking huge amounts, but I'll eat ice cream. Because it's what I like, right? And you still have to enjoy life. And I feel like when people look at nutrition, they think, oh, this is going to be boring. I don't want to eat all these foods.
No sugar, no chocolate, nothing.
Well, I do try and limit sugar, even though I do eat ice cream. But yeah, like just enjoy life. Yeah. You have to enjoy life.
Just find the perfect balance between...
It's what works for you, right? And then at the same time, it depends on what your goal actually is. For example, if someone is about to go and compete in a bodybuilding show, they need to be in the best shape of their life, right? They need to physically look very well. In that case, you're not allowed to eat ice cream because you will probably get a bit more fat on your body. Yeah. Exactly, and you need to, when you're competing in bodybuilding, you need to be as ripped as you can be, right? So it depends on your goal. If it's just general health and general lifestyle, balance, right? So have 80% of your diet as clean as you can, and then the other 20%, have fun. Yeah, that's probably the best bit of advice I can give. Just have fun.
Yeah. So you started also your own podcast a few months back. So how did it start? What really motivated you to start all that? And how do you choose your topics? So tell us a bit more about it.
Podcasting is something I wanted to do for a very long time. Yeah. And I just never could find the time for it, right? Because I was just busy training clients all the time. And I know we always say, if you really want to do something, you'll find time, blah, blah, but it was too hectic. My lifestyle was too hectic. And then when kind of COVID hit and we all went into lockdown, and obviously I was working in a gym and then the gym shut. So I had a lot more free time on my hands. So I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to start a podcast. Yeah. So then that's when I started the DNA podcast. I just thought, right, let's just get it going now. And it's been fun. I actually enjoy podcasting. I haven't done an episode for a couple of weeks now, maybe like a month or so. Yeah. Just because I've decided to just split my podcast up into seasons. Yeah. But in terms of the topics, I just pick whatever I want to talk about, really. The whole reason I started the podcast was I like having conversations with people, like interesting conversations with people. I feel like we can all learn a lot from each other. Of course, yeah. Right? No matter how smart you might be, you can always learn from someone, and from something as simple as a conversation, which I think, especially with technology and stuff now, everyone texts, everyone messages, no one actually has real conversations, you know, and I feel like we're missing that. So I thought, let me have a platform where I can actually just speak to people human to human, you know, and hopefully I can learn from them and they can learn from me. So that was the whole premise of the whole thing. In terms of topics, just what I kind of feel like talking about. Sometimes I do put out like on my Instagram and stuff like, what would you like me to talk about? Because sometimes people want to hear about something specific or just things I feel passionate about. I think if I can find the right guest for it, I just kind of off the top of my head think, right, that's something I'd really want to discuss. Who would be a good fit for that sort of thing. So the topics are just completely random, still kind of relating to health, well-being and stuff, but literally it could be about anything.
We can also consider you as a motivational speaker. You post a lot of quotes on your social media. I do. I've seen one that is really, I really liked it. Go where on. You wrote, just because our bodies are in lockdown doesn't mean our minds have to be. Can you tell us more about this quote? How? I mean, it's quite interesting to see. I mean, it's not only about your bodies; it's also about your minds. And lockdown, I think we can consider it as a pause. It was like a pause for us to rest our mind and think and re-question everything. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, like you say, it was a pause, and I think it was a pause that the world kind of needed.
Definitely.
as horrible as this whole situation has been, and I know a lot of people out there are struggling, you have to look at the silver linings, right? And a lot of people that I know of in my life, including myself, pre-COVID, we were kind of always on the go. We were mentally and physically drained. And I was always saying, I just need a break.
Yeah.
I just need some time to myself, and I could just never get that time. So it kind of helped with that. And when I talk about health, I mean it in the most holistic way possible, right? I mean mind, body and soul. It's all connected. So I'm not talking about just going to the gym. I'm talking about mental health here as well. And I think it was good for that. And it was bad. A lot of people struggled with it at the beginning. And that's why when I kind of thought of that quote, because while I was in lockdown, I was actually okay, if I'm honest. I loved it. And a lot of people don't like me saying that, but lockdown was a blessing for me, and I kind of even miss it right now. It's just, it gave me a chance to kind of take a step back and learn a lot more about myself and about the world, and on so many different levels, right? And I did a lot of reading. I was reading every single day while we were in lockdown, which I need to start doing again. But that's kind of where the quote came from, because I thought, yeah, okay, I'm in lockdown. I'm staying at home pretty much all the time, but my mind isn't. And I think I came out of lockdown in a much better place mentally. And that's kind of what led to that quote, that we can all do this, right? We take the time to do things like read and meditate and get your mind right. It's a
develop new habits as well.
Exactly. It's a very difficult time right now for all of us, but any situation is what you make of it, right? And you can always use this time much more wisely and just better yourself in that sense. You know? So that's kind of where that quote came from. Cool.
And do you have any future plans in regards to your podcast, your career? Are you preparing anything coming soon?
I have 1,000,001 plans in my head.
That's good.
I'm constantly planning. Planning. In terms of the podcast, I just kind of want to flow with that. I don't really plan for my podcast. I don't know if you've listened to any of the episodes, but they're literally very casual conversations. I don't script anything because I just feel like a conversation should just be natural. So with the whole podcast, the way it is, I just kind of want to flow with that. Whatever happens with it happens. It's just something I enjoy doing. In terms of my career, I just want to grow my brand. You know, and like I said, I've got 1,000,001 ideas of how to do that. But my whole thing over the next few years is just growth, as it is with most brands, I'm assuming. But no, I don't. You know what it is? I like to plan to a certain extent, but from getting sick, what it taught me was you can plan all that you want, but life has a plan for you, and whatever your plans are, don't matter when life kicks in. You know, so I like to kind of go with the flow now. So I've got 1,000,000 ideas, but I'm just seeing where I end up.
No, it's really great to see. I mean, your progress and having background in finance and now in fitness and in nutrition. It's quite inspiring, to be honest.
Thank you.
And to close off on a note from your own experience, what kind of advice would you give to people that are looking to pursue the same career as yours? What would be the key advices that you would give to them?
Do it.
I
got asked this the other day. I put some questions up on my Instagram story for people to just ask me, and someone did ask me that. I'm thinking of becoming a trainer, but obviously I think they said they were worried because there's so many trainers right now. And so my advice was do it, because honestly it's one of the most fulfilling things you can do. I love what I do, and like I said, I wouldn't change it for the world. And when you change people's lives in a positive way and you see that's because of what you've done for them, it's a very nice feeling. So I always say to everyone, just do it. Don't worry about how saturated the market is or anything like that. If it was advice apart from just do it, I'd say only do it if it's what your passion is. I think, like I said, the market is very saturated and there's loads of people in the fitness industry, which I think is good and bad. It's good in the sense I'm so happy that more people are getting into health and getting into fitness and making this their life, which is brilliant. I wish the whole world would do that. But on the flip side, there's also people who are in it for the wrong reasons. Some people think it's just a easy living, which it's not. It's just like any other type of job, right? You still have to work hard for it. Some people are in it for money gains or whatever it might be. I'd say if you're going to do it, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, and you will love what you do.
Of course,
yeah,
definitely. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. It was such an inspiring discussion, and we hope to see you really soon.
Very soon, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.